Welcome back, Virgo. Um, you stopped asking for it, and that's exactly when it decided to arrive. Uh, Something is building, not slowly fast, with the particular, almost reckless momentum of something that has been held back long enough, that has been pressing against whatever was containing it for long enough that when the release finally comes, it doesn't trickle, it doesn't ease. It arrives all at once in the specific, overwhelming way that things arrive when they have been gathering in the dark for longer than anyone was watching. Hold on, because what's coming doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It simply arrives. There is a specific kind of miracle that doesn't look like one from the outside, doesn't arrive with light and announcement and the unmistakable signature of something supernatural interrupting the ordinary. It arrives, instead, wearing the clothes of coincidence, of timing, of the right door opening on what looked like a completely unremarkable Tuesday, in the middle of a week that gave no indication it was about to become the week that changed something. It arrives looking like luck to everyone watching and feeling to the person it lands on like something considerably more than luck. Like the specific, almost physical sensation of something clicking into place, something that was always supposed to be here, that simply needed every preceding thing to happen exactly as it happened, in exactly the order it happened, before this particular door could swing open in this particular moment and reveal what was waiting on the other side. You may be days away from that door. Let me tell you about the waiting that precedes miracles, not the passive, resigned kind, the active kind. The kind where a person has been working and trying and building and sometimes failing and getting up from the failing and continuing in the direction of something they couldn't fully see but refused to stop moving toward. The kind of waiting that isn't really waiting at all, because the person doing it never actually stopped. They just stopped being able to see where the movement was taking them, stopped having access to the view that would have made the effort feel obviously worthwhile, kept going anyway, not from certainty, not from an abundance of hope, but from something quieter and more durable than hope, from the specific stubbornness of a person who doesn't know how to stop when something matters to them, even when stopping would be easier, even when the evidence for continuing is thin. That stubbornness has a name. It isn't always called by its right name. It gets called obsession sometimes, or delusion, or the inability to let go of something that isn't working. But its right name is faith, not the religious kind necessarily, the older kind, the kind that simply means continuing to move in the direction of something real, in the absence of visible confirmation that it's there, because something in you knows the difference between a path that leads nowhere and a path that simply hasn't arrived yet. This reflection invites you to consider, what have you been quietly, stubbornly, in the face of very little external encouragement, continuing to move toward? And do you understand yet that the continuing itself was the work, not just the preparation for it? Because the miracle that is building, the one this reading is circling, the one that is about to blow up in the most unexpectedly wonderful way, it is not arriving despite the difficult seasons. It is arriving because of them, built from them, assembled piece by piece from every moment you chose to continue when quitting would have been completely understandable. From every version of yourself you outgrew and left behind, even when the leaving was painful. From every wrong turn that turned out to be a course correction in disguise. From the accumulated, invisible, entirely unglamorous compound interest of a person who refused, for long enough and with enough genuine conviction, to stop. Picture something falling from a height, not dropping, falling with intention, with trajectory, with the specific directed momentum of something that has been released at exactly the right angle from exactly the right point, aimed with an accuracy that wasn't visible at the moment of release. But that becomes increasingly obvious the closer it gets to its destination. You are the destination, and something is falling toward you with a precision that the universe of your ordinary days has been quietly assembling in the background, behind the scenes, in the parts of the story that didn't look like they were part of the story for longer than, uh, and it's going to land not softly, not gradually, not in the incremental way that most good things arrive and allow you to adjust to them as they build in the other way, the sudden way. The way that changes the shape of a day before you've had time to understand what's changing, the way that looks in the moment it happens, less like a development and more like an event, a before and after, a specific, unmarked Tuesday that becomes, in retrospect, the day that everything was different from. This reflection invites you to consider, what would you do differently today, in the most immediate and practical sense, if you genuinely believed that something was about to land in your life that required you to be ready, not perfectly ready, but present, open, and not actively standing in the way of your own receiving? Because standing in the way of your own receiving is something worth examining, not as a character flaw, as a very understandable, very human, very well earned defense mechanism. The specific way that people who have been waiting for a long time, who have been disappointed enough times to have developed a relationship with disappointment that borders on intimate, begin quietly, almost imperceptibly, to make themselves unavailable to good things before they arrive, to dismiss the signs, to explain away the evidence, to construct, with the same intelligence that has served them so well in every other context, an airtight case for why this particular development is probably not as significant as it looks, probably not as good as it seems, probably carrying some hidden cost that will become visible once the initial excitement fades. That intelligence is not your enemy, but it is, in this specific moment, working against you, because what is building, what is about to arrive with the particular force of something that has been gathering for exactly the amount of time it needed to gather does not require your analysis before it is allowed to land. It requires your presence, your openness, the specific, rare, almost radical act of allowing something good to simply be good without immediately looking for the catch, without constructing the counter narrative, without managing the experience into something smaller and safer and less vulnerable than the full, undefended, completely available receiving of a miracle. Some of you watching this have been through enough that the word miracle produces something complicated rather than something simple. A flinch, maybe. the specific involuntary response of someone whose relationship with hope has been complicated by enough instances of hope's absence that the arrival of something that looks like it might restore that relationship feels paradoxically painfully more frightening than the absence itself. Because absence, at least, is familiar. Absence is the thing you've learned to manage. Presence, real presence, the arrival of something genuinely good requires something that absence doesn't. It requires you to be there for it fully, without the distance that has kept you functional through the long seasons when nothing was arriving. This reflection invites you to consider, what would it actually feel like in your body to receive something without immediately bracing for its loss? And how long has it been since you allowed yourself to simply have something good without the background process of preparing for its departure running simultaneously? Let me say something directly. The miracle that is about to fall into your lap, and I use that phrase intentionally, with all its implication of suddenness and unexpectedness, and the specific, almost comic quality of something landing precisely where you are sitting without requiring you to move toward it. That miracle is not arriving because you are finally lucky. It is not arriving because the universe has decided, after a period of apparent indifference, to be generous. It is arriving because the architecture of what you have been building, quietly and stubbornly and at genuine personal cost, has reached the point where what was being built becomes visible, where the invisible becomes material, where the effort converts in the specific alchemical way that sustained effort eventually converts into result. The explosion, the blowing up, is not destruction, it is revelation. The sudden, almost violent emergence of something that was always there, always building, always moving toward this moment, but that was not yet large enough or ready enough or sufficiently assembled to make itself known. That moment of emergence looks from the outside like something happening to you. From the inside, it will feel like something completing, like the final piece of something clicking into place, like the exhale after a very long inhale, like the arrival of something you had stopped naming, stopped asking for, stopped allowing yourself to fully want because the wanting had become, after a certain point, more painful than the not having. This reflection invites you to consider, what did you stop asking for? What desire, what hope, what version of your life did you quietly retire to a place of not wanting because wanting it had become too expensive? That may be right now in the process of arriving anyway, uh, because things that are genuinely meant to arrive do not require your active wanting to find their way to you. They require only your presence, your availability, the specific, simple, utterly non trivial act of being in your own life, fully, honestly, without the management and the distance and the protective smallness that difficult seasons teach when the thing that has been building finally breaks the surface and lands. The power is yours. It always has been. Not the power to manufacture miracles, not the power to force the timing, but the power to be present for what is already right now in this moment, gathering itself into the shape of something that is about to change the weight of your ordinary days. The power to get out of your own way, to lower the argument against receiving, to allow the miracle the space to be as large as it actually is, rather than immediately managing it into something your existing expectations can accommodate without disrupting too much. This is about to blow up. Get ready for a miracle to fall into your lap. Not eventually already in motion, already falling, already aimed with a precision that the surface of your life has not yet revealed at the exact coordinates of exactly where you are sitting in exactly this season, in exactly this moment of having stopped asking and started simply being present for whatever is coming. Trust yourself with this. The thing you stopped asking for didn't stop being on its way. It simply stopped needing you to ask. It knew where to find you. It has always known where to find you. Before you go, I want to hear from you in the comments. What did you stop hoping for? What specific thing did you quietly retire to the category of probably not for me that you'd take back in an instant if it arrived? And what does it feel like in your body when you let yourself imagine something genuinely miraculous landing in your life without the immediate follow up thought of, but it probably won't? Drop it below I read every word, and this space holds it all without condition. See you in the next one, and listen. The miracle isn't coming because you deserve it, or because you earned it, or because you finally did everything right. It's coming because it was always going to come. You just had to stay long enough to be here when it did.